What makes absolutely no sense to you at all? Seems like half of the true crime shows I watch involve life insurance. What I don't understand is how the perpetrators convince themselves that being the beneficiary on a brand new life insurance policy and then having the insured turn up dead within days or weeks is not going to put you under a detective's microscope. Even more suspicious are the ones who immediately make the claim for payout within a day of the death. At least sit on it for a month or two and act like you're grieving. My first language was Spanish, which I learned at home. I learnt English at school and with friends outside of school. In addition, German is spoken. Surprisingly, when I speak in my brain, it's always in English. When I pronounce them out loud, though, they come out in the correct language. I've always wondered, holy shit. My grandmother was deaf-mute and only spoke Asl. I asked her once what language she thought in, Asl or English, and she didn't understand what I meant, so I never got an answer. Arrested Development narrator. Sadly, Alohammer in 95 would later find out that her grandmother had been signing in German the entire time. As it turns out, they had been having two completely different conversations the entire time. If you don't have money, you are charged fees. I once had a line of credit. The bank sent me a statement each month. The statement cost me a $1 fee that I could not cancel. Trust me, I tried. My statement read service fee, $1, statement. They charged me $1 each month to tell me that they were charging me $1. How babies just go from swimming breathing in a pouch of goo to being born and able to breathe normal air. It makes no sense to me. How does something go from not breathing air to breathing air in like a second? Babies don't get it either, that's why they cry in confusion. Something interesting I learned from my baby's doctor when my baby was ill. Babies will cry in order to get more oxygen if they are struggling to breathe, so when they first come out, this now totally makes sense to me why they are crying and why it's an issue if they are not, and why it's a sign that a baby isn't breathing if they don't cry when first born. It seems so obvious but not at the same time. Here I just thought they were cold for the first time and hating it, lol. Childbirth is stressful for both mother and child, so I'd imagine the kid isn't having a great time. What better time to cry than when you're being exposed to a bright, noisy, air-filled world for the first time? What better time to cry than when you're being exposed to a bright, noisy, air-filled world for the first time? It's how I feel most mornings, to be honest. Dick is a shorter way to say Richard. Like when the duck does Richard turn into Dick. If you're going to have a shorter way to say Richard, just say Rich, because that makes sense, unlike Dick. Sorry for anyone named Dick out there, but her name makes no fucking sense. Rhyming nicknames were a thing in medieval English. Richard becomes Rick becomes Dick. Same with William to Will to Bill and Robert to Rob to Bob. Most of the strange English nicknames are because of this. Those Facebook photos that promise you a lot of money if you post them. Is it true that people believe it? How, in what environment, under what conditions, could that possibly work? Is this some sort of inside joke that I'm not aware of? Right, amen. You can break a bone and it will heal on its own, but if you develop a little cavity, you must get it filled. Teeth aren't made out of the same cells as bones, therefore can't heal like bones do. How the moon is in perfect rotation with the Earth to the point where we only see one side of the moon at all times no matter what. If a pizza costs $9 and I order 2 of them, where the hell does my pizza joint get $39.86 from? From experience, you have to order a very specific way. I work as a manager at Pizza Hut, and 2 people ordering the exact same thing can have a difference of plus $25 depending on how they order due to specialties that are actually always available. It's insane. Sounds like a needlessly complicated system to take more money from unsuspecting people. And it works. What is the root of consciousness and why is there something instead of nothing? How Bluetooth works. Space. Look at the moon. Some days you can see Saturn or Jupiter out there. Look at the stars. You think about us people on this rock in space all running around. We're floating in space on a rock. Spinning around. All together. One. And space is just so big. It's overwhelming. Really, really big. I can't even comprehend how big. It doesn't even make sense how big it is. The Earth rotates on an axis. The Earth orbits the Sun. The solar system is orbiting the center of the galaxy. The galaxy is moving away from some starting point in the universe. The universe is expanding. Comprehending all that motion simultaneously blows my mind. Planes. It still amazes me how something that massive can fly. Same thing for me with ships, like how does several hundred tons of steel float on the water? You think it's a heavy ship, but it still weighs a lot less than the water it's pushing down on. Edit, weighs less per unit of volume. The amount of water a ship displaces is equal to the weight of the ship. Imagine how much deeper the ocean would be if you removed all the sponges. That just got me thinking, imagine if a container ship carrying nothing but ShamWows actually sunk. That's a lot of extra land. Punishing the kid who fought the bully. Punishing the whole group for one person's actions. There goes that kid's social life. How people came up with baking. I get eating meats and veggies and fruits. That's just food that's pretty much ready to go, but somehow someone figured you can grind this plant into a powder, add a certain amount of water and some chicken eggs and some oil and some other crushed plant stuff and then heat it for X minutes and now you have cake or bread or cookies or whatever. Imagine all the failed experiments on the road to flaky, buttery croissants. How did Yzma and Kronk get back first? By all accounts it doesn't make sense. Why does gold have inherent value to humans? Gold was the perfect medium for currency. It was easy to shape and stamp into coins. It didn't rust or react. And, most importantly, it was relatively rare, so a governing entity could at least make a token effort at stabilizing the currency, depending on what era of economics we're talking about. Of course, while any medium could be used for currency, especially other types of metals, gold hit all of the sweet spots, which is why, for the most part, gold was the universal choice when it was available. And it both looked pretty and had some halfway easy practical uses, so it wasn't just currency for currency's sake, it had inherent value. Since then, we've developed a lot of non-currency reasons to value gold, and while it's no longer the sole way to manage currency, it's still pretty and it's still useful. And if as survivalists believe the government goes tits up, no one's going to want any paper currency, but eagle-stamped gold coins will have a verifiable and easily tested value. Even though the chance of it happening is next to zero, the mere fact that it could grants it extra value. Grown-ass adults not taking responsibility for their actions properly and expecting others to clean up after them. When I wear sunglasses anywhere while it's cold outside, some cashier or receptionist will say something to me like, "Oh, look at you, longing for warmer weather," or remind me that there's snow on the ground, or ask me why I'm wearing sunglasses when it's so cold outside. Guys, it's a beautiful day. They aren't referred to as hot weather spectacles. Is snow not common in your area or something? Everyone is wearing sunglasses in my area during the winter because even on cloudy days, the light is reflecting up off the snow. Seriously. When there's snow on the ground and a fullish moon, it's way brighter at night because of the snow. Midnight, middle of the city, snow cover on the ground, clouds cover in the sky, all the city light gets trapped in between. Everything bathed in a seemingly sourceless yellow-orange light that casts little in the way of shadows. Why everyone calls those kids in those "I told my kid I ate their Halloween candy" videos bratty if they get pissed. The kid has every right to be upset. All you are teaching your child is that they're not supposed to be upset if someone takes something they value, and that they've put time and effort into procuring. I've always hated those videos. I hate that we expect kids to tolerate certain behaviors that we as adults would fight someone on sight for. How people can just go up to complete strangers and start a conversation. It comes as naturally to them as breathing. Edit, well, that was a lot of notifications to wake up to. And thank you for the awards, first one I've ever received. Second, edit, a big thank you to everyone giving us socially anxious, neurodivergent and introverted folks some very helpful advice. We'll definitely give some of these a go next time. In my experience, you're either the person who's born with it, or you have to learn it like any other skill. I'm absolutely the latter. The trick is practice. Like all things, start with low-stakes situations like a barista at a coffee place nowhere near your home. Absolute worst case is you say something a bit stupid and the barista forgets about it as you walk out the door having learned a lesson. It quickly becomes not scary, and from there it becomes natural. Totally agree here. I mainly started by filling awkward silences during checkout at stores with terrible jokes or inane observations. I'm still awkward as duck, but I make friends wherever I go according to my partner. Really just gotta practice and be okay with failing a whole bunch.